Ladies and gentlemen, welcome from Eurospeeder Lausitzring. This is a racetrack in East Germany, very close to Poland and Czech Republic, and this is the third racing weekend for Volkswagen Golf Cup. We have an expert here, a racing driver and the winner of Volkswagen Golf Cup 2014, Robertas Kupčikas. Hello, Robertas.
Hello.
My name is Carlo Ferenc, and we have a pleasure to comment this race for you. The outside temperature is very high. It's around 35 degrees, and it's going to be a very hot race. And this is a third racing weekend for Volkswagen Golf Cup 2015, after Oschersleben and after Slovakia Ring. And we have a pleasure, as I said, together with Robertas, to talk to you and to explain you this very interesting weekend for the Volkswagen Golf Cup. So it's really hot. It's not easy for the racing drivers.
Yes, believe me, it's not so easy to drive at a temperature like this. It's almost, I think, 36 degrees, and
Yes.
it's difficult to concentrate at temperature, at so big temperature. So it's really extremely big hot.
This is really hot, and this is even sticky, you know, and the weather conditions are really tricky, and tricky for the drivers and tricky for the race cars. But we do hope and we're sure that Volkswagen Golfs will make it, you know, in a very nice way. This is gonna be a very interesting race because we're in the middle of the season. So we have a Lausitzring, which is a very specific track, and our guest Robertas Kupčikas is a really good specialist because he won 2 races here last year. How you did it? There's some special recipe for the race driver to win this race?
Every track have some special things at some corner. So I think I found it last year, and I won practice session and qualifying and both races. So it was a really good weekend for me. So yeah, this track is really nice, and what is interesting in this track that all the corners is better to drive inside line, because if you're just losing 1 meter or something like that, so
you lose the speed.
You lose the speed, and your lap time becoming lower.
So the perfect racing line is very important, and just the qualification and the standing position here. The P1 is Jeffrey Kruger, then P2 is Piotr Parys, P3 Markus Fluch, then Simo Muchonen, Bartosz Palusko, Sebastian Ariola is P6, P7 is Michał Gadomski, then Dylan Pereira, Alfred Kramer, Adam Rzepecki, Aleksander Artemiev, Andre Gies, Pascal Hoffman, Gosiar Dest, P15 is Marcin Jaros, then Jerzy Dudek, Patryk Strzesak, Kevin Metzner, Simon Larsson, Artur Egorow, Jędrzej Szcześniak. P22 is Filip Tokar. Then we have Ishad Ibragimov, Dominik Kotarba-Majkutewicz, and Jacek Jurecki. So it's just a few seconds, you know. It's going to be a very important start and a tricky left corner.
Yeah, this first corner is really important, and if you're losing 1 position on first corner, you can lose not only 1, you can lose 5 positions or even more, because it's not so wide in the first corner, and if somebody will be overtaking you, so another drivers can follow him, so you can lose really a lot of position.
And we saw it, you know, a couple of hours earlier in the GT Masters, ADAC GT Masters Cup, that some cars hit each other, so that was a big problem, you know. So it's very tricky not to make a mistake, but also not to disturb, you know, the other drivers or destroy the race to the other drivers. This is very important, I think.
Yeah, we spoke much time with all the drivers to be careful and to not make big mistakes on first corner. It's really important to be clean in this corner. So I think everything will be good.
So let's hope it will be good. And Markus Fluch is a season classification leader, is a table leader, but he starts from the 3rd position. Jeffrey Kruger on the pole position, then Piotr Parys, Markus Fluch on the 3rd position, as we said. So I think it's going to be very interesting. Red lights.
5 seconds.
Let's keep fingers crossed for them. And they started. And Jeffrey Kruger, yes, he is leading.
We see that almost all of them using push-to-pass button on the first straight.
Piotr Parys 2nd, then Simo Muchonen. Very good start for them. And in the top 4, nothing really different happened. We have Markus Flug on the 3rd position. Unfortunately, this first corner was okay, but we had some problems for the drivers. There is Filip Tokar. Filip Tokar out of the track. Had some problems. And also Jacek Jurecki. But look at that, on the 1st position. Then Piotr Paris is pushing really hard.
Yeah, it should be difficult for Jeffrey Kruger to drive in front. Not so easy to start and to save your position.
And they are using push-to-passes system, and we'll explain you a bit more about the push-to-passes systems. But look at that, Piotr Paris is trying to attack. He's attacking, you know, and Jeffrey Kruger doesn't have an easy life with him during that race, I think.
Yeah, so I can speak something about the push-to-pass system. So the push-to-pass system, it's the system which makes 50 horsepower more at this moment while it is working. So you can see the blue light on the front windscreen when it is switched on, and this system can work only 10 seconds, and it should be recharged during the next 10 seconds. So it means that after you cannot use it
you have to wait.
You have to wait 10 seconds.
But I think what is important, Roberto, is that when you really fight, you're trying to overtake another driver. You're using the push-to-pass system, but it's also pretty tricky, you know, because at the end of the race, when you had a wrong tactic, you can just lose all of them, and then the drivers which are behind you, they can overtake you because they have push-to-pass system and this extra 50 power horses. Yes.
Yeah, so you should think when you should use push-to-pass system, because you have only 19 times in one round, in one race. We see that these drivers should go 15 laps. So it means that almost all the laps you can use one time, and a few times more you can use this system. So you cannot use it more than one time each lap.
Yes, and we saw some problems for Ishat Ibragimov. He had a spin, and that's, of course, you know, he lost a lot of seconds. But look at Jeffrey Kruger, you know, he's leading, and the gap is still small, but it's not as close as it was after the first lap.
So we see that all the drivers is using push-to-pass system on the finish straight.
And it's important to observe it in a mirror that your competitor is using the push-to-pass system. So maybe I have to use it as well.
Yeah, you can see it in your mirror that your concurrent use it also, but you cannot see if you're driving somebody to behind somebody, because in the rear of the car there is no any light.
And some problems for Andre Gies. Let's see what happened with this driver. He had some problems on that lap, and
it looks that it's a technical problem.
Yeah, the technical problem. It's not easy. It's not easy race, as we said, because the temperatures outside is very hot. It's difficult for tires. It's difficult for racing drivers. It's also difficult for the cars, because the engine temperature can go really up into the risky level, I would say.
Yeah, so nobody knows what happened with this car, because these cars are really good, and we had no any problems. 2 years I had no any technical problem, so I think it can be that this temperature make some
difference. And we have a safety car. We have a safety car because Andre's car is staying on the track, so from the safety reasons, it's very important to make it easier for everybody and to make it safe, especially for the drivers which are still competing, to have a safety car. And see the start again. And a great position for Bartosz Palusko on the qualifications, but he lost a couple of positions. He didn't have a brilliant start, unfortunately.
He didn't close inside of inside line.
And he lost 5 positions. He was fifth, and that was the best result so far for this driver during this year, during Volkswagen Golf Cup races. But he lost 5 positions, so it wasn't a brilliant start for him, but still we have 12 laps to go, so this is a long race. This is a long race on the very interesting track, and you see that a lot of things is happening, and how different the Lausitzring is in comparison to the previous tracks. I mean, we are in Slovakia ring. That was the second round, and the first round at Oschersleben.
Yeah, so this track is really different, and you should do different setup for the cars. But we cannot do a lot of changes in suspension setup, for example, because all the cars are the same, and these technical regulations makes similar or completely the same cars for all the drivers. So for this racetrack, it's maybe a little bit too big camber of wheels camber, so the tire works a little bit different, like in another tracks. So you should find the best tire pressure and to have a plan how to use the best speed in this track. So if you know all these things, so you can really do a good job in this track. So like I told, there is some corners which you should go inside the line, and little bit different like you should use in another track with similar corner.
But that's also the racetrack that drivers are cutting the corners pretty much. So that's a racetrack which allows to do it, of course, and we can see that there is some dust, some sand even, and this is important. And look at that: Jeffrey Kruger on the first position, then Piotr Paris, Markus Fluch on the third position. So nothing is changing on the top three. Simo Muhonen position number 4, Sebastian Ariola, then Dylan Pereira. I think he expected a bit better position. He won his first race for Volkswagen Golf Cup 2 weeks ago at Slovakia ring. So. I think his expectations were a bit higher.
Yeah, Dylan had a problem during qualification. He had a puncture of a tire, and he couldn't do a good lap. So
even so, he with the puncture, he had a very good time. So just on the 8th lap, he made the second best time. But that's pretty tough. But that's a racing. So anything can happen. And this is important to fight till the end of the race, and many things can happen. And they're just 4 laps behind us. And so far, this is pretty interesting. But do you think that there could be some, tire problems at the end of the race?
Yeah, if you will not save them, you can have a big problem with tires, because it is overheating. So all the drivers trying to make tire pressure not so high to not overheat them, but you should do also a good job and to not drive too aggressive for these tires. So yeah, you can choose two things. Or you just starting with a little bit higher tire pressure, and you have a little bit bigger speed at the beginning of the race, and then you can lose in second part of the race, or you just make little bit lower tire pressure. You will not have good speed at the beginning, but later you will save tires and you can catch.
So it's always about a balance, like
yes.
in life. Yes, it's always about balance to be the fastest on the first laps, or to keep the speed and the average speed on each lap. And we have some small changes in the position. Sebastian Ariola is in the 4th position. Simo Muhonen is 5th. Do you like football?
I like to play, but not too much.
Could be difficult to play football with Jerzy Dudek, who is a goalkeeper. I think that'll be very difficult for you, for me, or for our spectators to maybe play football with Jerzy Dudek. But he's doing very well in the Volkswagen Golf Cup, but maybe not during this year, this race. And he started having much better times, I think, at Slovakia ring. So he expected for more. But he's a very talented driver as well.
Yes, he tried to drive 2 years ago, and he loved it. Then he started to drive more and more. So now he's participating in all the season, and he's really learning and improving. So it's nice to see.
Look at that, how small difference is, how small gap is between Markus Fluch and Piotr Paris. I think Markus Fluch, if you want to be on a leader, be as a leader in the Volkswagen Golf Cup this year, he needs to press Jeffrey Kruger. I think Jeffrey Kruger is his main competitor so far. Jeffrey didn't have a brilliant start at the first race at Oschersleben. He had some problems on that, and I think he was a bit nervous maybe, but right now he's in a top form, so it will be very, very difficult and a tough fight between those drivers, that's for sure.
Yes, for sure. These two drivers will be very big. Will have very big fight, and we'll see in the future much more fight. So now at this moment, Markus have another concurrent in front of him. So it's Piotr Paris. So now we see that he's trying to attack him, but we'll see what happens.
Yes, we have still a lot of laps to go. So the race is going. But Dylan Pereira wasn't so successful at the qualifications. He had a puncture, as we said, but he's still in a very good position, 5th position. In front of him is Sebastian Ariola. So Simo Muhonen, he lost 1 position again. So something happened with Simo Muhonen, and the front bumper of his car is a bit destroyed. And look at that, they are using push-to-pass system right now to have a top speed. And what's the top speed of Volkswagen Golf Cup at that track?
At that track, something around 200 kilometers per hour on the main straight.
And that's the situation, and Dylan Pereira is fighting. And he's a young driver, very talented one. He was so happy winning the race at Slovakia Ring, and I think he felt very good at Slovakia Ring, also during pre-season test at March. And he was winning different practices sessions, and he said, "Yeah, I want to be in the top 3. I want to be on a podium," and I think that's the goal for those guys.
Yeah, Dylan Pereira is a really talented driver. We drove this year and at the beginning of January in Dubai in 24 hours race. We were together in the same car, in the same team. So yeah, he got really lot experience this year from the beginning of the year, and I see improvement from his side. So now only he started in not good position, but as we see, he's getting higher and higher.
So Jeffrey Kruger is leading the race. Then on second position is Piotr Paris, and that's so far the best result for him. He said that he just wants to score more points and more points on each race, but the second position is looking very, very good. Markus Fluch is pushing him very hard. And look at that. The difference is smaller and smaller. So we saw on the screen on the last lap that Markus Fluch is making this gap smaller and smaller. And I think at the end of the race, that could be really, really good.
Yes, we see that lap times is really good. So we're driving the same lap time like we drove on qualification, but only we're using push to pass, so time is similar.
Time is pretty good, and you can see Goshar Dest. That's the white car.
Gosh and Jaros, Martin Jaros have a fight. So as we see, Martin Jaros
Gosia had a very good practice session this morning. That was absolutely excellent for Gosia. So she's stronger and stronger every race, I think, as well.
Yes, she's trying to be really fast, and she has a really good engineer who is helping. So Thomas, he's a helper of Gosher Dest last year, and 1 year before, Thomas was helping me, so I became a champion.
She has the chances to really be in the top positions. Yes.
Yeah, so he's a really good, talented engineer. So I think he will help her.
And I think that the cups, like the Volkswagen Cup, is a perfect preparation. It's a perfect school for the young drivers. And at that school we can learn how to drive the car very fast, how to talk to engineer as well. don't forget about it. This is you know a very important one to be successful later on the bigger series. Yes.
Yes, it's really good series for young drivers, for big improvement, because all the cars are completely the same. So organizers preparing all these cars and watching for them and to checking that all the cars will be the same power. Uh, so what is
interesting fight, and Patrick Stresak is fighting really nice, and the cars are sliding, and this is good on the racetrack, but it's not happening very often that the cars are sliding. Yes.
Yeah, so it's difficult. It's a little bit not good when two cars are touching each other by wheel to wheel, because these rims can damage each other, and you will not finish the race because it will broken and the tire will blow off.
And as we said, you know, they should drive. The drivers should drive not to destroy the race for them, but also for the other drivers, because that's of course, you know, a lot of points, but that's a lot of experience. Each lap is an experience. So without this experience, it's much more difficult to fight on the next races during the season, or even during this racing weekend. Yes.
Yeah, so like I started to speak about these cars and this cup, so it's very good for young drivers to think about driving, because if you're using this push to pass button, so it's very important to use it in good position, in good place, in good time. So it's not only about driving fast lap, but it's also about smart driving. So,
but that's how the modern motorsport is going for. This is the direction for the modern motorsport. And look at the Formula One. The driver has to drive fast, but you also have a lot of different buttons. But you also have to save fuel. Fortunately, we don't have to do it here, and the drivers don't have to do it here. And definitely, Markus Flug is not saving fuel, and Piotr Paris, they are really fighting hard. This is really good race.
It's a really good race, and you see that they are really fighting hard. So only I'm afraid about the tires. If Marcus will try much times to overtake, so he can damage his tires.
Yeah, that could be pretty difficult. And Sebastian Ariola had some problems as a car number 25. He lost a couple of positions, unfortunately. And let's see what happened.
Yeah, he went out.
He went out of the track. Oh boy.
He lost something. He lost a few positions.
Yeah, he lost few positions, and then it's of course tricky, and it's difficult for the tires, for his tires. So it will be difficult to keep the right speed then.
As we see Marcus trying to overtake.
Yeah, he's pushing really hard. He's almost sitting on the Piotr Paris bumper.
Both they have 4 push-to passes left.
That'll be a good fight till the end of the race. He's trying to overtake. He's putting pressure on this young driver, on Piotr Paris. He's testing him, and each time they go on the start-finish line, he's testing him really hard. Look at that! Look at that! How close he is.
Yeah, we forgot to tell that on the side window you can see how much push to passes left. So
yes,
as you see in Dylan's car is 4 push to passes, and behind him Muhan and Simon Muhan have only 3 push to passes left.
3 push to passes, yes. And most definitely, yes. Look at the Markus Flug. He tried, but not that time. But most definitely he will push him. He will test, you know, his speed till the end of the race. And Simo Muhonen is pressing Dylan Pereira as well.
Yeah, only Dylan have 1 push to pass more, so he can save his position.
So it's a good school how to try overtake, but also how to defend, which is not an easy as well.
Yeah, so.
You prefer to attack or you prefer to defend? What is more difficult? If you are on the first position, let's say, then you prefer to be on that first position and defend from the other drivers if somebody is very close to you, or try to attack?
I think it's more easy to attack than to save position, because when I was driving at first position, starting at first position, I was trying to run away from everybody at the beginning, because if it not happens, so you should really big pressure from back and try to save your position.
And some fight between Artur Egorov and also Mateusz Rzucidło. So not only in top 3, but even more interesting things are happening on the position number 10, 20, and etc. Yes.
Yes, it's really in this cup always you can see the fight, and it's really interesting to see.
Patrick Strzesak, we just saw him. He's on the position number 14. But the top 3 is the same. It's Jeffrey Kruger, Piotr Paris, and Markus Fluch. Dylan Pereira on the 4th position. But still, we have 3 laps to go. But it's really good that they have, that the drivers can experience on the international tracks, on the different tracks, that starting together with the international series like WTCC, like GT Masters. This is absolutely great experience as well.
Yes, and they also told us that we saw this cup, we saw this race, we saw these fights, and they really was impressed, and told us it was really nice to see all these fights, because the cars are completely the same. All the drivers are really good and professional, so you can see all the time a big fight.
And also they can get an interest from the team managers, from the different journalists. So this is also good. I saw a lot of journalists were making interviews. So it's good to be in that place, you know, together with the big boys. Yes.
Yeah, so it's very important for young drivers to participate in the same weekend with big stars of autosport, and it's really nice to drive in these tracks. So
yeah, that's true. This is very good. And the Gochardes is fighting with Marcin Jaros. Look at that, Gochardes in white car, Marcin Jaros in the yellow one. But Gosia
made a mistake.
She will keep the position. She will keep the position or not. Difficult. Look at that. How tricky is that? But she kept her position. But it's a really tough fight. Gochardes on the position number 9, and the Marcin Jaros is position number 10. Bartosz Palusko is on the position number 8. So he was 10th, but I think it's a really good race for him.
Yes, we see this couple of drivers. So Marcin Jaros is all the time driving behind Gochardes, so he can have overheating of the engine. So
and that's one of the last chance to try to overtake Gosia, but I think it will be difficult.
It's not so easy to overtake in this track.
And we are on the final lap, so just few chances to overtake the competitor. And the final lap is there, and the leader is Jeffrey Kruger. Second is Piotr Paris, but he is pretty far away. He's pretty much behind the race leader. And Jeffrey, look at that, he kept still, you know, free push-to-passes systems.
He really good driving and very smart driver.
Very nice racing line, very clean. And yes, we can say officially right now he's winning the race. He's winning the first race at Lausitzring, third round of the Volkswagen Golf Cup 2015. The second position, it's absolutely great result for Piotr Paris.
First podium, I think.
First podium for him, yes. Very talented driver, and he's getting to be faster and faster. So this is really good. Markus Fluch on the third position. Dylan Pereira is fourth. Then Simo Muhonen.
Ariola 12, he lost a lot. He was fourth.
Yes, he lost a lot of positions. So you can see the small mistake and the big consequences. A lot of time and a lot of positions, and especially when it's so close, when it's so tight. Yes.
Yeah. One mistake and you can lose a lot of position. Like I started my conversation with.
That's true. That's true. Look at that. Jeffrey Kruger, first position, then Piotr Paris, Markus Fluch, Dylan Pereira, Simon Mohanen, then Rzepecki, Gadomski, Palusko, position number 8, Gosiardes, number 9, 10th is Marcin Jaros. I think it's a really nice top 10, and especially for the drivers like Bartosz Palusko, that he managed to be in a top 10. It's that was his dream when we talked to him, you know, at the beginning of the season. He said, I want to be in the top 10. So he is in the top 10. We would see what is the plan for the next races, but I think they should be hungry for more. Yes.
Yeah. So, but he's a really smart guy. I spoke with him. He made decisions how to drive this